Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakah HaKadash. Also, want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS that rule well and teach well for giving us 100% truth. Also, want to give peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Alright, today's lesson we're gonna go into. It's pretty much Jake don't understand. Jake does not know who they are. Okay, and it's just because all the lies that's been told over the years, especially with us saying that Jake, and mainly talking about the tribe of Judah, okay, what you so-called Negroes, dealing with thinking that we are African, okay, and Jake is in the ones that's in darkness are the ones that don't know, okay. So I just wanted to go through some little things, probably gonna tap in just a little history. That we are not Africans, okay? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, Native American Indians, Mexicans, that is not who you are, okay? You are Israelites, Yasha Allah, okay? Meaning he, Prince of Power. He is the Prince of Power. That's what Yasha Allah means. Now, you gotta understand that the terms that were given to us were from our oppressors, okay? And it was said in the scriptures that we will be called a proverb and a byword, right? Let's get that in Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. Okay? So, example of a proverb and a byword. African Americans, Negro, Mexican, wetback. Okay? All these are proverbs and bywords that were given to us, okay? And a lot of Jake don't understand, because, you know, we were told that we was African, but then you got to go back into the history and realize they were just, it went from Negro. Let's look this up real quick. When did the term Negro start? The word Negro originated from Spanish and Portuguese words for black, derived from Latin, and began to be used to describe people of African descent in the 1500s or earlier. Though it is widespread, English uses for African Americans started in the 18th century. While considered a proper term and used by black activists, D.E.B. Du Bois, in the early 20th century, it declined in the mid to 20th century due to its association with racism and the rise of the terms like black and African American during the civil rights movement. Okay. So that's not who we are, okay? But that's just what they gave us. That's that byword and proverb that they gave us, right? Now, let's see. See this. The term people of color originated in the late 18th century with the French phrase gens de color, referring to people of mixed race, white and black ancestors in colonial contexts like Saint Domingue. While it was used in the United States around the same time into the 19th century, it faded in popularity. Let's look into this. Color. The article is about the term used mostly in the United States and United Kingdom for the term used for an ethnic group in South Africa. Colored people redirects here for the modern term referring to non-white people. color is a racial descriptor, historical Slovakia, used in the United States during Jim Crow era to refer to African American in many places. The word color was first used in the 14th century, but with a meaning other than race or ethnicity. The early use of the term to denote a member of dark-skinned groups of people occurred in the second part of the 18th century in reference to South America. The term came in use in the United States during the early 19th century and then adopted by emancipated slaves as a term of racial pride after the end of the American Civil War, until it was replaced as self-designation by Black or African American. Okay, so y'all can stop calling y'all stuff African American or whatever, because shows right there, they just finding names to give us, okay, and that's not who we are, okay. And the reason why we don't know is because we were discontinued from our heritage, right? Because that was a part of the curses, right? This is Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. Okay, what's that heritage? Us knowing who we are, us knowing the Heavenly Father's name, the law, statutes, commandments. Okay, that's why we don't know who we are. That's why we identify ourselves as African Americans, Mexicans, Latinos, etc. That's why we identify ourselves like that, because we were discontinued from our heritage, right? They beat our heritage out of us, okay? So when we went into slavery, you got to think, all the years of slavery, and when you had children, us know who we are just faded away, as time went. Okay, so, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For you have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. Okay, and it's because the curses that we went through. Let's see. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay, and that's why Jake don't know who they are. Okay, that's how we don't, and that's why. What is it? Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I also will reject thee, that thou should be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. So Jake is destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Okay, and then when the knowledge get brought to them, they reject it. Okay, they they're glad with just being African American. They're glad with just being called that. Okay, but not understand, and that's not who we are. Okay, because we gotta understand that term white and black is a social construct, right? It was created during the Bacon's Rebellion, and that created that social construct, because we didn't go by color, we went by tribes. Okay, so what I wanted to tackle is this, because we're not Africans, man. That's what we was told, right? We are not Africans. Let's see, because it was always a thing that was told to us that we was Africans. Let's see, I'm gonna start at. We're gonna just read Deuteronomy 20:68 real quick. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And it's talking about our land in Jerusalem. And there ye should be sold unto your enemies for bond man and bond woman, and no man shall buy you. Okay? So this is talking about going into the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, this Egypt in this sense means bondage. Egypt is the Greek word for bondage. Okay, so we'll be going to Egypt again, meaning we'll be going into slavery again, by this time by ships, right? Because you don't need to get to Africa, to Egypt, you don't have to take a ship, okay? You can walk there. Alright, so this is talking about going to Egypt again. It would be sold into our enemies, right? So this is talking about the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? Let's see. So you got this slave trade, right? You'll be going to Egypt again by way of ships. Going to bondage, slavery. Okay? Now let's get a better understanding on this. So, we'll go to Joel 3:3. It says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. So they were selling us on auction blocks. Okay? And if you're honest with yourself, you ask yourself, who was the nation of people that did that? Okay? Yes, they had, it was a, how you say it? The sub-Saharan slave trade with the Arabs and stuff like that as well, the Ishmaelites. But this particular thing right here, back in Deuteronomy 20:68, it's going to the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, so first I want to make I'm gonna go into this Zondervan Pack dictionary. Let me write it. That way, if y'all don't have this book, you can go get this book. But I didn't heard some stuff that they took out the book, which I'm gonna point out. Let's need this. So this is the book I'm gonna read out. That way y'all know what book I'm reading out of. Zondervan. So this book right here. Alright. So what I'm gonna do is prove to you that, and they know that it's a difference between us Negroes, so-called Negroes, and them Africans. Okay, which some Africans come from the line of Ham. Okay. Now this book right here is a good book to have, right? But I heard that in the new books, they took this out. What I'm about to read, they took it out. Okay, so I went to the definition of Ham. It says, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races. And it says, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and the Canaanites. Okay, so supposedly a lot of people saying, the ones that get the book now, saying that they took that out, right? Because they identify saying that Ham and the Negroes are 2 different people, which is true, but they linked us with them because suppose Ham is the seed that was cursed. Okay, and it says his and it gives you a precept, Genesis 10:6 going down to 20. His indecency when his father lay drunken brought a curse upon Canaan. Okay, so there's a difference between the African, which is from the line of Ham, than the Negro. Okay, so that's why they took that out. Just had to clear that up. Now, let's go back. Okay, so just wanted to get an understanding on that right there. Now, let's read. This is Joel 3 and 4. Yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense on your head, upon your head? So these are the African nations which were told that, which we were told that Africans sold Africans, right? But that wasn't the case. Okay, it was the Ham, the Hamitic tribes that sold us. Okay, but they linked this to us because we are the same color. Okay, but just because we're the same color doesn't mean that we are the same people. Okay. Verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay. So we understand that Ham is the progenitor of the Dark Races, not the Negro, right? We backed it up with the Zondervan Pack Dictionary, right? Now, the Grecians, on this other hand, is not talking about, so a lot of people get it mixed up. It's not going to talking about Japheth. Okay? It's not talking about that. Okay? Grecians are the so-called white people that took over that land and called themselves Greeks. Okay? First king was Alexander the Great, which is an Edomite, okay, which his line goes back to Agag, which is a tribe of the Amalekites, okay. But those were Japhetic, the land of Japheth, okay. But these Edomites, what they did was, they conquered these lands, and then they removed the landmarks. They called them by their names. But that's what they do. Okay. So a lot of people say that this is Japheth, right? So how do we know that? Let's go. So Grecians, just to prove that this is talking to, it's talking about proving that these are Edomites. Okay. Let's go to First Maccabees. Okay. So, this is First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after that Alexander the son of Philip, the Macedonian, okay, who came out the land of Kittim and smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, so Philip the Macedonian, he says Philip the Macedonian. Okay, so this is what I was looking at yesterday, right? What's that? Just to prove that they are Edomites, right? And then I'm gonna get this real quick. So remember this: after it happened after that, Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian. So this is Alexander the Great's father, right? The Macedonian. Remember that. Look at this. Right. Go back to this. Now this is Esther. This is Esther 3:1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Alright. So it says Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite. So let's go into this word Agagite.
Strong's H91. Agagite, Agagite.
Alright. Okay, Agagite or descendant. Now let's see. Where is this? So it says, outline biblical uses I will overtop king of Amalek, spared by Saul but slain by Samuel. So the Agagites go back to the Amalekites, right? Which the Amalekites are the top tribe of Edom, Esau, Edom, the Edomites. Okay, so Agagites are they are Edomites. Uncertain deliberation, compare flying Agag, a title of Amalekish kings. Okay, so Agag, they go back to the Amalekites. That's who they go back to, right? Now watch this. Let me read this again. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite. Okay, let me go into this real quick. The father of, so we know Hammedatha is the father of Haman. Okay, so we know that Haman was an Agagite, right? And watch this. For Haman, so which that is Haman. That's the same thing over there in Ezra 3:1. It just got to spell like this. For Haman, a Macedonian, okay, the son of Hammedatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us. So, you see how it says for Haman, a Macedonian? And we just read that it says, after these kings did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite. Okay, but they were calling themselves Macedonians, but they were Agagites from the tribe of the Amalekites, which were Edomites, right? Okay, just like Philip the Macedonian. Okay, it's because they conquered them lands, right? So you are whatever your father is. Okay, so that makes Alexander an Agagite, because you are what your father is. Okay, because your father carries the seed. So if your father is a Amalekite, that makes you an Amalekite. If your father's an Israelite, that makes you an Israelite. So this further proves that Philip the Macedonian was an Agagite, okay, which is an Edomite. Okay, his line go back to the Amalekites. Okay, so that makes his son Alexander Great an Edomite. So I hope that makes sense. So now let's go back to Joel 3:3. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a bow for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Verse 4. Yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, I return your recompense upon your head, your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians. Okay, so they delivered up that captivity to the Grecians, which are Edomites. Okay, that ye may know, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay. So let's go into what else I wanted to go into, is that we are not from Africa. Okay, we'll get into that because we get a lot of people that say we are from Africa, right? But let me get this before we get into that. This is Amos 1:9. Thus says Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they had delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. Okay, them Grecians, the so-called white people, going back to here. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay, and that's talking about in America, because that's way past far from our border. Okay, it's not talking about Africa. Okay, because we were taken from Africa. Okay, so now I want to get into, because we're not Africans, man. Okay, yeah, we fled to Africa, but we're going to get into that. We're not African, man. Okay, we just fled over there, right? Let's get let's see. What do I want to get? Because Jake is lost, man. They think we Africans, they think we Egyptians and all that shit. Let's see. Okay, we're going to read starting at 20. Luke 21:20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. Okay, what is this talking about? This has already happened already, right? So what this means is back in like 67 AD all the way to probably like 74 AD, the Caesars put an end to the southern kingdom, right? But let me read this for you. Let's go to, and I'm going to put the books that I'm reading up. Babylon, Timbuktu. We're going to get into a little history there. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Okay, maybe I can read it from here. Let's see. I wonder if I can. Let's see if I can. Okay, there we go. Hope y'all can see this. Whoever watches this. Okay. We're gonna start right here. In the year of 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrageous and artifices were committed against the residue of the people. During the people from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jews. Okay? And that's going back to, what does it say? And it got the scripture right here, Deuteronomy 28:64. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all the people from the one end of the earth, even into the other. And there thou shalt serve other powers, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay, and that goes back to the curses. Okay, so this was a prophecy getting fulfilled, right? So now you got to ask yourself this. So that's just how we ended up in Africa, because we were fleeing Roman persecution. Okay, so we fled into and it says it right here too. Right, the Jewish philosopher Philo, about 40 BC, 40 AD, who lived in Alexandria, Egypt, said that 1 million Jews resided in Libya, Egypt, from the Gap Lamos to the borders of Ethiopia. So we had a lot of Jews that fled up north. Well, we had mainly a lot of ones fled in Africa, West Africa, known as Ghana today. Okay, so a lot of those people in Ghana are Israelites. So that's just how we ended up in Africa. Okay, we wasn't originally from Africa, right? Well, we fled into Africa to avoid Roman persecution, right? Because it said this. It says, verse 21. So when it says, when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then you should know that the desolation is near. And it's talking about the Roman army. Okay, when they the Roman military, when they surrounded Jerusalem. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Okay, and let them which are in the midst of it depart. Okay, flee to the mountains mean get out. And let them that are in the countries enter therein too. Okay, now we're gonna jump down to 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be filled. Okay, so all these are part of the curses, right? And this began during the siege of 70 AD. Trodden down of the Gentiles, okay, the heathens, all right, because our land has nothing but heathens in it now. All right. So, yeah, that's the reason why, how we ended up Africa. Okay, so, but see, a lot of people don't know that history, and they think that we just originated in Africa. Okay, and they start calling themselves Africans, or they give us the name African. Okay, so our people was sold by them African nations, right? Which sold us to slavery, to the Edomites. Okay, so at the time they were called the Grecians, right? But that were Edomites. All right. So he said we fled to the west coast of Africa, right? We fled into Africa, right? And you see where the transatlantic slave trade, right? You see the routes, right? So who do you think these people are? And it said about 1 million Jews got away. So who could that possibly be talking about? It's talking about us. Okay? So we are not Africans, right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28:68. And Yahweh shall bring thee to Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall be sold unto your enemies and bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay? Because once that happened, that was the last time we seen Jerusalem. We never went back to that land. Okay? We never went back to that land after that. After that, we went across the water. And that was the last time we seen that. Okay? And that's scripture. Okay, so for you Jakes out there that's saying that we're Africans, we're not Africans. We're not from Africa. Okay, we just fled into Africa, fleeing Roman persecution. Okay, but that was a part of the curses that we were going to be scattered. Okay, so I hope this video was edifying. I just want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahshai, Ba'Shem, Rakah HaKadosh, and Shalom.